For many people, knowledge of ayahuasca comes from celebrities on talk shows.
Just knowing eternity is like torture in itself, because there was no beginning, middle, or end. So you have like a real ego death.
There's been bad press too, a series of deaths related to ayahuasca retreats in South America, where the drug was first used in traditional Amazonian ceremonies.
The phone was ringing and she said to me, I'm so sorry for your loss. At that point, my heart just stopped. And I just said, what are you talking about? And she said, I was on a retreat with your son. Matthew died. He died 3 days ago.
Often, though, those tragedies were not traced back to the drug itself. And in the years since, the trend has reached our shores. Now, as mental health professionals delve into the applications of other hallucinogens, they're looking at ayahuasca too.
What ayahuasca does, and what a lot of other psychedelics offer, is an opportunity to view trauma from another perspective and maybe make connections or links that you may not have made before. So what this does is offer hope to people that there might be another way to heal.
Last year, an international study involving almost 12,000 people found that 78% reported their depression was very much improved or completely resolved by using ayahuasca. 70% reported the same for their anxiety. Less than 5% said it made their conditions worse. Now, Aussie researchers will be conducting their own study into the drug's effectiveness against depression and alcohol dependency, despite the Therapeutic Goods Administration last December rejecting an application to legalise magic mushrooms and MDMA for a similar purpose, saying it
poses a high danger for both acute and long-term effects if abused or misused outside of strictly controlled medical and scientific research settings.
While people experience transformative healing benefits on ayahuasca, or at least that's what our clients are reporting, it's important to remember that it can be fatal. There's a lot of research that needs to be done before we look at rescheduling these substances and offering them for general use to the public.
Kavani Monahan has had experiences with ayahuasca in her battle with depression, and she joins us now. Kavani, prescribed antidepressants and mood stabilisers do work for many people. So what led you to try ayahuasca?
Well, I had a very long journey with antidepressants and mood stabilisers, close to 18 years. And throughout that time, it didn't help me that much. In fact, I believe it actually worsened my situation, because I was first diagnosed as depressed and then moved into being diagnosed as bipolar 2.
Can you explain, though, in practice what it was like, though? I mean, I've sat there while one of these ceremonies takes place in Peru for a story for Foreign Correspondent. I've got to say, observing it, it was pretty gruesome and not pleasant.
Those are two words that I could probably commonly use through some of the experiences I have had. Nerve-wracking. You know, you're diving into the unknown, and the unknown can be very fearful and scary. But I have also had experiences where I've experienced bliss, understanding, new ways of looking, new perceptions, new ways of looking at things, and for the most part, I've come out the other side appreciating and humbled by my experience.
Kavani, I think it's worth restating that this is not actually legal here in Australia, and for very good reason. It's one of the world's most powerful hallucinogens, and there have been deaths associated with it. Do you acknowledge that this maybe isn't for everyone?
Absolutely, I acknowledge that. I would also acknowledge that there are many other medicines in this world that also have adverse effects and outcomes with it. But, you know, there is also a lot of lived experiences of people who have had monumental changes in their lives due to these medicines.
This new study could eventually lead to decriminalisation of this drug, but can you understand why a lot of parents who are probably watching right now, they would be terrified at the prospect of their kids going out and getting their hands on this stuff?
Absolutely, and I guess with anything that is new and different and that hasn't been studied and that doesn't have a clear pathway for people to be able to access it is going to cause a lot of fear in people. And I can absolutely understand it through my own experience of having had my own fears, but having educated myself before I decided to go down that path.
All right, Kavani, thanks so much for your time tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
It's such a vexed issue. Obviously, anyone that lives with mental health issues or PTSD, you know, would want to do anything they can to resolve those issues. And if some of the traditional medications have not worked for them, I can certainly understand the desperation that people get to. But I think we've had, over the last couple of years of pandemic, a really big conversation about the importance of science.
What are you talking about, Hamish?
I'm talking about vaccines
Sure. Okay.
and actually building the data up around these sorts of things so that any decisions that we make are evidence-based. And unquestioningly, a lot of the people that, you know, come to ayahuasca because of PTSD or whatever it may be, a lot of them do speak very highly of it. But, you know, I've got to say, when I did that episode of Foreign Correspondent, we went there to Peru to investigate the death of a young backpacker, basically, who went there to try this stuff. He didn't ultimately know everything that was in the potion that he consumed. It was probably tobacco poisoning, I think, was the sort of end result of all of the investigations. But you are putting your life in the hands of something very powerful that there isn't a great deal of science around. So, you know, maybe this is one best left to the researchers for the time being. And just, you know, if you are thinking about this, take all due caution.